Friends, how are you doing? We are back in the markets Monday here. I want to stay right on topic with BigBear. I'm going to talk about, I've seen a lot of people comment and say, why aren't you talking about Richtech anymore? I'm going to talk about Richtech, promise. I'm still watching Richtech like a hawk. But two, I really want to break these quarterlies down, what's going on, and they're very mixed feelings today. BigBear is actually doing well after hours here. The market today did pretty well. Some good news in the market, just bullet points of what's going on right now. It looks like the government is possibly going to open back up. If you're wondering why, did they come to an agreement, something? No, nothing has been settled. They just essentially a little bit of a give and take, and hey, we'll figure it out once we open back up here. So 40 little day vacation here. Two, with that, Trump too announced over the weekend, hey, that tariff money, I want to turn it into stimulus checks for families. And of course, one thing that really crashed the market last week was when the Supreme Court came out and said, hey, that tariff money, you're going to have to give that back because you were not allowed to do that, actually. So the first court appearance of it, finding out more what's going to happen here is Wednesday. So we'll see what happens and how the market reacts to that. There could be a crash in the market Wednesday. I'm going to be totally honest with you, because if Supreme Court comes out here and says no, it's not going to happen. Two, with that, Trump could have made this a little worse because he pumped the market's pumped back up here. Obviously, government opened back up, good. But I would highly imagine now that, Trump is like, we're going to give this money to people. And when the Supreme Court comes out, and if they say like, well, no, you're going to have to give it back to these, nations, whatever it be, however this is handled, obviously, I'm sure the Trump administration is going to fight this tooth and nail. This could go on and on and on. I mean, I highly doubt this is going to be wrapped up Wednesday. So we'll see what happens with that. But let's get right into BigBear here. What's going on? And this is a bit of like mixed feelings right now with BigBear. So friends, I hope you're doing well. Really do mean that. All right, here we go. BigBear announces third quarterly for 2025 results. Agreement to acquire Ask Sage. That is pretty much one of the big things here. So BigBear came out with a quarterly of $33.14 million. Okay, a hair above Q2. Okay, great. We'll take it. It's not mind-blowing. It's definitely not where I was hoping they were going to be. I was hoping at least minimum here would be $35 million, but this is where we're at here. What we're seeing right now is that the quarterlies came out, and obviously they were better than Q2, okay? But it's right here where we're starting to see a lot of conversation top. So this is what is kind of the big positive right now. Agreement to acquire Ask Sage, a fast-growing generated AI platform for distribution of AI models and agent AI capabilities built specifically for defense and national security agencies and other high regulatory sectors. Ask Sage is expected to deliver annual recurring revenue ARR of approximately $25 million in 2025. So BigBear will pay a total of $250 million for the whole business, acquiring it, subject to the agreements, blah, 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 blah. So that is what's going on right here too. And BigBear has announced, hey, we don't have any debt, we're doing good thing. So this is where we're at right now. This is really, it's something unique here, because if you look at BigBear this year, there's been this whole, just from the top down, of people leaving the company, redirection of, implementing people here. Kevin taking over, who's been with BigBear, but now the CEO. Kevin obviously has redefined this company as a security company / defense company. And I would highly imagine this is really great. This is really great. This is what you want to see. You want to see a company who's already starting to show signs of going towards a bit bigger and better future, putting money into that. And right now, with them buying this software, this system, this company, they are obviously going after bigger fish here in the future. So I think this is great. Obviously, these are growing pains right now. These are not things that people may not want to see, because I know a lot of people are looking at this today and going like, man, I want a $40 million quarterly. I want a $50, $60 million quarterly. I definitely think those days will they're going to be here, and they may show up in 2026. Who knows? We'll see how aggressive this gets with Big Bear doing this deal right here and what's going to happen. I definitely feel that Big Bear is on the right direction here. I mean, this year alone has been a monumental historical year for this company. Like I said, with completely redirecting people where the company needs people positioned, and two, just how many deals I have. Every time I have talked about Big Bear here the past 2 weeks, I put a lot of those deals up here so people could see, like, they're right there. So I learn by seeing right in front of my face. So that's why I was putting those deals up there so you could see what's been going on here. I do think that Big Bear more than likely is going to acquire more airline deals here into the future. I think 2026 could be really filled up with a lot of those airline deals. I think they're probably going to get more. But two, obviously going after this national security, software, defense software more, and obviously that's what they kind of do now pretty much, but really pushing into that, spending money on the right stuff here. This is going to be good for Big Bear. It's growing pains. And why I say it's growing pains, because I'm sure there's people looking at this sedan going like, oh, man, what they have is good enough. Well, yeah, of course it is, but for Big Bear to set themselves apart from competition and continue to get bigger deals, to get more deals, I definitely think this is right. This is definitely the right thing. They've definitely seen something that we haven't seen. I mean, they're running their company, and as much as Kevin doesn't really talk to us on video, I'm highly thinking that he definitely is, at the helm here, leading Big Bear in the right direction. I mean, because they have been acquiring so many deals here this year. I'm going to read a little bit about Kevin said here. He talked, obviously, made an announcement with the company. So let's look at it here. Today, I'm thrilled to announce that Big Bear has signed a definitive agreement to acquire Ask Sage, a cutting-edge and fast-growing generative AI platform for secure distribution of AI models and capabilities built specifically for defense and national security agencies and other highly regulatory sectors. Ask Sage already supports more than 100,000 users on 16,000 government teams and across hundreds of commercial companies. It is a turnkey platform that's in production today at scale at the environmentals that so not really nothing else too much there. So I put this up here so you can read it. He also talked about the government delays. We believe the potentials for new business in the field of border security. There it is right there, border security. That's right there at the bottom. And defense remains strong. We expect to see those opportunities, including, here it is, reoccurring from one big, beautiful bill. Bam, baby, bam. There it is, fellas. There it is, ladies and gentlemen. That is it. That's what we've been wanting to hear right there. So that's it right there. That's the ace up the sleeve right there. That is what we're looking for right there. So Kevin's throwing that out there. He's saying it's still a go. This is what we're waiting on. Obviously, the government's been held up here with all this stuff been going on. But that is what we're looking at. The Golden Dome, the more money spending on defense. This is why 2026 can be a very hefty year for Big Bear. Now, listen, I'm not trying to blow smoke up your butt here. I'm just reading what they're telling us. When investing, I've said this time and time again, you gotta follow you've got to follow details, obviously, but the breadcrumbs with what's being presented to you at that moment. This may just be a key moment in time for people just to store up shares of Big Bear like a squirrel stores up nuts for winter. Okay, it really is, because there could be something a lot better coming here this time next year. When it gets announced, I do believe that Big Bear is going to be a part of more government contracts, and I believe, like I said, they're going to get more airline deals. When we look at the stock today, when this came out, it went from a 5 high 60, low 70s, jumped up to almost $7. So I don't know where we're going to go from here, obviously. I think this is still more than likely a deal for Big Bear. I think bad days, we could even see, more high $4, mid $5 range. Bad day in the market. We'll see. This is probably going to be a little bit of a choppy week here we may have. But with that, I do think that Big Bear can obviously run back up into a $7 to $8 position here. But Big Bear kind of still teeter-tottering, struggling on these quarterlies. It's going to be very interesting to see how high of a number it can hold here. I think this is definitely signs in the right direction. But like I said, these are growing pains, and it's going to take time for something more to happen here. I'm going to be honest with you. If they had just come out with this quarterly, and I think that's why Kevin said a lot of what he said here. If they had just come out with this quarterly, this may have been a bloodbath. This may have went down to like 450, okay? And it's even what I was thinking when I saw it actually came across my phone. Big Bear reported minus 3 cent quarterlies. I was like, oh god. And then I looked at the share, and it was it went to like almost $7. I was like, what's going on here? And then I looked at the announcement. I went, oh, okay, they've acquired something. They're pouring money back in the right direction. So investors like this. This is good. Wall Street likes this. These are good things. Now, obviously, there's a lot more that they release. You can type up BigBear.ai.com. You go to their news report. You can look up all their financials, what's going on here, and kind of get more affiliated with what's going on with them. And I encourage you to look at their balance sheet. Look what's going on here. There's good. There's bad. There's a bunch of things going on here. So, friends, all in all, like I said, if they did not talk about this Ask Sage, they weren't acquiring that, I would be a little worried here that this is just going to be like okay, well, we're looking for more deals. That's the big thing here. But Kevin said what he said, and they're acquiring this brand new software that's going to really help them, and they're headed in the right direction. So all in all, I think it's a win. But two, I'm curious to see how the market reacts to this. It's not terrible news by any means. It's not even bad news. It's just like, okay, well, this isn't like I'm gonna like break out the champagne tonight, but I'm calm about this. I think that's the main thing. This is a calming quarterly here. This is a calming quarterly with news. So all in all, I'm happy here. And just to talk, I want to talk a little bit about Richtech. I will talk about Richtech here. We're seeing Richtech sell off like crazy here, but this is a situation of where we've been here with Richtech, and Richtech has actually been releasing quite a bit of news here that where they put their robot in this sports arena. They're showing pictures. The robot is serving people drinks. It's actually really cool. But I think this is just a situation of where Richtech is going to continue to be very, back and forth on price action. I would not be shocked at any time of any week, even by the end of the month, if Richtech went to, $6-7 and then sold back down to $5 to high $4. I definitely think the stock is going to show signs of life here again soon. I'm very much in this atmosphere still that robotics are going to have movement here as we get further into next year, 100%. I still, man, people are asking me like, should I buy in now? I think whatever you're doing, you need to feel okay with holding this for a while, okay? This is going to be a situation of it's going to have movements of high volume, high push up, and high sell off. They're not releasing their quarterlies until the beginning of January. So in that, Richtech has already acquired a few deals here since their last quarterly, even in the middle of the summer. So there should be a little pickup in these quarterlies. It's actually being talked about in a lot of analysts articles right now. But we're not right now. There's no like woolly mammoth sized deals going on right now. There's no like huge deals going on. There's just a situation of they're making money, they're pushing their product, they're getting a lot of attention. But I think Richtech has more room to push and go crazy when the market, ever this happens, starts to focus on robotics. I really do think this is coming. I think there's going to be a high volume push on robotic stocks, 100%. Elon has been talking a lot more about robotics. Jensen, NVIDIA has been talking about robotics. We're hearing robotics a lot. Amazon is obviously doing their own things with robotics, but even I'm trying to, I just listened to a recent interview with Elon Musk, and, he talked about Optimus coming to market. And even, this is when I made a video on this a few days ago, but he talked about chips and how there's not enough chips. There'll never be enough chips for what they're trying to do. And, Optimus needing chips and all this kind of stuff. But two, talking about, how many robots he thinks can come out every year, and the struggle with releasing robots, because he knows there's going to be they already have a demand on them, but there's going to be such a high demand on these robots, just Optimus, the Tesla robot. It's going to be a whole new market. It's going to be a whole new market, and that market will bleed into the stock market, and there will be a feeding frenzy more than likely on that. So, I like Richtech a lot. I'm not saying that this is going to work this year, anytime soon. I think this is much like a BigBear conversation. I think there's a lot of growing pains with it right now. You're waiting on a company to make their mark, get that one big deal, continue to push into revenue. Now, Richtech is, actually behind BigBear when we talk about revenue, but still, when and if this finally does start to work with Richtech, this is going to be a very interesting stock to hold and see how far it can push here. So, yeah, friends, I want to wish all you the best of luck. What a day, what a time, what a day in the market. This is amazing. I'll be back talking about BigBear obviously tomorrow. See what happens. I want to see how it reacts to the market, how investors are treating it. Oh, and I'll be happy. Be happy. I'm very excited to see what BigBear is going to continue to do here in 2026. And if BigBear can grab another deal here by the end of the year, that's going to be big. I am curious too, with them getting this, acquiring this company, is this going to maybe jump deals up quite a bit? Could we see BigBear just like really start to push into high volume with getting deals? That could be something too, where they can say like, hey, we actually, we have this company, we've invested into this program, this software, this is what we have now, and we can offer X. So that's going to be very interesting. And, I think it, trying to read in between the details, the lines here of what Kevin just said to shareholders. It sounds like they know they're going to get more deals here with the government. It sounds like they know they're going to get deals with the Golden Dome, with this big, beautiful bill. It sounds like they know something's going to happen here, okay? I think it's just a matter of a waiting game. And two, what do we know about these government contract deals? We know that when they're released, they're usually pretty significant in pricing, and they last for about 2 to 3, 4, or 5 years. But too, with that, the money is usually made public, and we know what that is. So that'll be a big thing too. If BigBear says like, "Hey, we just got this deal for X amount of money for X amount of years," I do suspect too, with BigBear buying up this company, acquiring it, that they're going to charge more. You're going to see maybe some deals really increase here, because they're going to be able to do more. They're going to be able to promise more to customers. So it's going to be very interesting, really, really interesting. Friends, I'll shut up now. I really will, I promise. You have a great day, night, wherever you're at. And I'll talk to you soon. Bye, everyone.